Okay, welcome to another segment of the Real Mike Pittman podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pittman, and joining me on the show today is a young man. And believe me, folks, when you have a name like this, you have to expect great things. This young man's name is King Randle. He's out of Albany, Georgia, and he is the founder of X for Boys and the Life Preparatory School in Albany, Georgia. King, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Yes, sir.
Sure. Yeah. And King, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? I have several questions for you, but I'm going to let you just tell us a little bit about yourself and you know, in Albany, Georgia. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, if you would,
Sure,
please.
and I'll make it brief so that way you have plenty of questions to be able
Sure.
to ask. But I'm 24 years old, the founder of the Life Preparatory School and the X for Boys program. I've been operating the program since about 2019 when I was about 19 years old. I started this program just to try to kind of help children learn the basics, well, boys in particular, about being a man. I was raised in a full family. I know I'm a bit young, but I know people are like, well, what do you know about being a man? I know what my grandfathers and my uncles and my dad taught me growing up. So I'm trying to teach boys those things, and those are basic skills also, like just how to work on a car, work on a house, and those things to teach you how to work with your hands. So that way you can understand that life isn't, just about maybe doing drugs or rapping or playing football. There's plenty of other things, that you can do to be successful as a black man in America. And that's some of the things I started teaching them. I started doing workshops, teaching them how to change oil and brakes, teaching them how to paint, teaching them how to change toilets, and then also teaching them how to read. We have a big problem with that here in our hometown with our students not being able to read. And that is a big issue for me. And you have so many kids in different grades who can't read. And so I wanted to, figure that out on my own, and I decided to start working with those children and teaching them how to read and write and actually comprehend, because it's ridiculous how many students we have in our public school system who are graduating who are not able to read or write.
Hmm. I got to ask this question. How did the name King come about? That's a very interesting name. Uh, is there any history behind that in terms of how the name King came about?
No, not necessarily. It's two parts of my first name, but that's the first part of my first
Okay.
name. I have two parts of my first name, but I only
Oh,
use that one because the other ones it's too much going on. So I just
okay.
keep it at the first
Sure.
part and the last name. That's it. But
Sure.
my son, he'll use both parts. As well as my second son, he has two parts of his first name too. So, but yeah, it's just two parts of my first name. My mom always wanted to name me King, and it was a rebellious act against somebody who told her she couldn't do that. So she did it anyway, and here I am trying to live up to that.
So were you born and raised there in Albany and grew up
Yes,
there
sir.
and you went to school there? I'm assuming that you graduated with high school there or whatever. And
Yep.
any college or service or anything after that, after you got out of school, or what was kind of the career path that brought you to this point?
Yeah, well, my career path didn't bring me anywhere near what I'm doing. It's funny, but I graduated college before I graduated high school. Actually, I went to
Really?
culinary school. Yes,
Hmm.
and I got my culinary degree and became a chef. And I cooked, for a long time when I was 17, 18 years old. It was a lot of annoying time for me. I did love to cook, but I think the culinary school experience took away my love for cooking. So it's like kind of few and far between when I cook now. But I went to the Marines immediately after that, and then I came home, and I dug into what I'm doing now, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, I was born and raised here. I graduated high school here. My mom's from here. My grandma's from here. Everybody's from here for the most part. So I just want to make an impact on my city that they say has a black cloud over it, where people can't be successful. But I want to show them that we can, instead of having to leave, but we could do it.
Okay. Now, growing up, I'm assuming you talked about your grandfather, so I'm assuming those were your role models and showed you some of the things that you're trying to teach to the young people now. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a full family. I got uncles and my grandfathers and stuff. And what's funny is, people, begin to think, this is not to talk down them or anything, but it's like my uncles, for example, they aren't the best people in the world, or they may have made their mistakes and things like that. But people don't realize how much you learn from people like that all the time. And my grandfather's awesome, awesome man, and my stepdad who raised me. All these guys have their faults, but they taught me so much growing up, which made me the man I am. Of course, my mom, my grandma, were raised in the church my whole life. So I played the drums my whole life at the church. And I stopped playing when I was about like 18 or 19, when I went to the Marines. So I hadn't played the drums since then, but I played the drums like my entire life, from when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I was always in the church playing the drums. But that's how I was raised, with my granddads and uncles, and the guy that lived across the street from us, and the deacon that stayed behind us, and the guy down the street, that taught us how to lay bricks. We had a true village in our little neighborhood, and all these guys, had an impact in their own different ways. And that's kind of, all them poured into one person, helped me to be who I am.
Yeah. Tell us about the facility that the school is housed at. How did that come about? And tell us a little bit about that, how you acquired that, and what gave you this idea to use the facility that you are using.
Sure. Yeah, we started out at my house about 4 or 5 years ago. We started in my house at the time, and we started in my dining room. And it was just a small idea at the time, just to kind of help kids. And then fast forward from there, I was discovering that those kids didn't know how to read, and I decided that I wanted to open up a school one day. I told them I didn't know how I was going to do it, didn't know who was going to get the money from, but we was going to figure it out. And that's what I did. Over time, I got on social media and started posting, and next thing you know, we went viral on socials, and we started raising money, and we raised money, and we tried to buy something from our local school system. That didn't work out. God gave us something bigger and better. So we were able to open our school doors last year, 2022. We opened our doors to our school. We also we bought this building that I'm in. It's our office building. We bought this building back in 2021. So we've been here and at our school building for the past couple of years, and it's been a blessing to be able to just raise money. We do everything for free. Nothing that we do we charge for. No field trips. Everything we do everything for free. And that's something that I pride myself on, and I'm glad we are able to just raise money like that, to be able to do everything for free, from our uniforms to getting the kids haircuts, to feeding them, to making sure they have what they need on the back end, to helping them, get their school stuff, whatever. It's just a blessing to be able to help those kids do what they need to do. So yeah, that's how we've been able to do it, and acquire our buildings. It's just people, loving on our program.
So you say the building that you do have, you said you did not get it from the school district, or you tried to get something from the school district?
Yeah, we tried to get something from the school district, but that didn't work out, and God blessed us with something else. Yep.
Okay, great. Now, in terms of the school itself, did you have to have any particular type of accreditation from the state of Georgia to start the school, or is there any hoops that you had to jump through to get started?
Sure. Yeah. So we use Georgia Cyber Academy for our online schooling. So the students attend Georgia Cyber Academy, which is an accredited online program, which allows us to be able to house them with us, and also teach what we want to teach, while they're also in an accredited online program. So until our school acquires accreditation on its own, we use Georgia Cyber Academy, and that's for anybody who's watching, who's asking how can they start a school like mine. We simply always say, you could find a free online homeschooling platform in your state, and you could gather students up, and however you decide to do it. And you can make sure those kids are getting their lessons, and they don't have to go to the public school system. We're able to have them here. They do their classes during the day. They have a couple breaks during the day, and we do our thing. And when they're out of school, we have them for the rest of the evening. So it's fairly easy to do, actually, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's a free online program. So I know a lot of people think it's a lot of money that it takes to start these programs and things like that, but it's truthfully not. Now, if you want to go my route and get buildings and stuff, then yeah, sure. But for those of you, who just have your house, and maybe a couple of your friends have the same idea, you guys gather together and make that happen. It's truly very easy, because they have so many free ways for you to be able to do it. But you have to be able to get you a group of people around you, that can help you with this stuff, because you're not the only parent who wants to homeschool, but a lot of them feel alone. If you find a couple of people who are saying, man, we don't got no help, with our kids, etc. It's 8 of y'all have help, so make it work, together. And that's how you make that work, and make that homeschooling program an important thing. So that's how you can make that happen.
Now, in terms of your students, how do you recruit your students, or where do they come from? Do you just kind of word of mouth, and you guys take anybody and everybody that wants to be a part of your system?
Yeah, we don't really care who comes. Most of them are from our hometown, and then you have some who come from out of town. But for the most part, they're in our hometown, and our programs are pretty hot commodity in our hometown, so it's really not hard to recruit at all. I mean, it's as simple as saying, "Hey, slots are open," and people are jumping in the door because they love what we do, and the program has spoken for itself. So that's kind of how we recruit for the most part. We don't really even have to anymore because we've been able to build such a good reputation with our program.
Yeah. So how many students do you currently have enrolled in the school right now?
We have 9 students in the actual boarding portion of the school, and then we have about 40 to 50 children in the after school program.
Okay. Okay. As far as the curriculum that you guys teach for the school, I know you talked
Mm-hmm.
about, I guess, some of the hands-on stuff like how to change your oil and do things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
from the classroom type stuff, do you guys, kind of also do kind of the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, as they say?
Of course. Yeah, the kids don't know how to read and write anymore. And then that's just being direct. They don't know how to
Mm,
read and write anymore. And that's something that we like make sure happens because it's not happening at the schools anymore. It's not happening at home anymore. So we try and make sure that happens with us because you cannot become a successful citizen and a successful, human being or a successful man if you don't know how to read and write. Those are the basic things. So that's something we do all the time, reading books, making sure they're doing math, writing. I make them write everything. They don't even write at regular schools anymore. The kids come here. And I'm like, when the last time you pick up a pencil? And they're just like, I don't even know. Like we do everything on laptops now, and it's terrible because the kids are writing like they're text messaging and writing LOL and acronyms for stuff. It's terrible.
mm.
But got to get back to writing. So that's something we believe in wholeheartedly because we've lost our mind with a lot.
Hmm. As far as the ages, and you said these are primarily young black boys, or there's a certain age limit that you have in terms of how young or how old the kids are and how they're separated out in the program?
Yeah, we do ages 11 to 17. So those are all the boys in our program. They're all ages 11 to 17. We have children who have passed the age of 17, but they started off in the program before they were 18. So like you can't
Mhm.
start at 18, but you can start before that and become 18. Like we've had kids, like I said, develop a whole lot with the program. So before that, we would have like kids start out young, and then I've had a student who's just come now recently, excuse me, not recently, but he's here 2 years ago, and now he has a job at Ford because he started out wanting to sing and rap and things like that, and I taught him how to work on cars and things like that. He graduated high school. After he graduated high school, he went to the local technical college and was like, I want to work on cars. This is what I want to do. And he went and got his degree and his certificate, and he got certified in auto mechanics, and he has a job at Ford and working on cars now, and he wants to go back and become a diesel mechanic, so he can work on semi trucks and things like that. But that's that speaks to one of our success stories here, and we're going to do a big story on him soon. It'll be on our social media sites. But yeah, I mean he developed just from being with us for quite some time. But the kids, they can start off younger and they could age out if they like, but they just can't start at 18. So
I know it's a young program, but have you had any of the kids that have been through the program that come back and have actually helped you at the school in terms of maybe doing any type of teaching or counseling or motivational type things?
yeah, we've had kids come back, a lot. Actually, we've had kids come back and say hey, I want to come help. I got one of my kids. He's in college now. He's at Savannah State, but every time he has, a break, he decides to come back, and that's something that we love.
Yeah. What has been the mood, if you will, of the power structure in town or the school systems? How well have you been received? Have you had roadblocks that they've thrown up because maybe they don't want to see this program, or does it maybe even shame them in terms of the way that the kids are being taught in terms of they can't read or write?
I mean, I've had a lot of pushback per se because it's something new, and it's something that is not wanted by the elites per se, because we're actually trying to change things, and when you're actually trying to change things, people don't want to see actual change, and a lot of them benefit from and they benefit financially from the city being in turmoil. When you're applying for different grants, et cetera, you have to say, hey, this percentage of students are not able to read, so we need X amount of money, because those kids can't read, and we need this amount of money because this crime is happening and this poverty is happening, or what have you. But it's never, we need to actually change. So they keep applying for these grants every year, et cetera, and they benefit again from the city being in turmoil. So
Yeah. So what is the racial makeup of Albany in terms of the number of blacks that live there, and the population, total population?
It's 77% African American.
Okay. Okay. And then I'm assuming that you have an African American mayor or the particular type of form of government that you have. I'm assuming that.
Most of the makeup of the commissions are black. We just got a white mayor, literally just got a white mayor a couple years ago, but I mean he's awesome. We've only had issues with our black people who've been elected, or even the last thing we just tried to get pushed. Our chairman of the county commission said no to what we were trying to do. He's black, but every time we're trying to get something pushed through here, it's always the white people trying to help, try and get things pushed through. It's like all the older black people here just refuse to want to see anything change on a serious note. So that's where we are.
Yeah. And I know that's probably something that you have to combat. And I've heard that story in other parts of the country where the old guard, in terms of this is the way we've always done stuff, but it takes, people such as yourself, that are visionaries and, look at the glass as being half full as opposed to half empty, and really have a heart and to care about the community and care about the kids. So I commend you on what you are doing and the changes that you're trying to make. When you talked about your funding sources and you talked about everything that you basically do is through fundraising and donations, how can some of our listeners out there, how can they donate to your organization or become a part or do some things that can help you out?
Yeah, sure. Our website is thexforboys.org. That's THEXFORBOYS.org. That is how you could, contribute. That is how you could go see what we're doing. That's how you could go see all of our photos and pictures and videos, and all the stuff that I just mentioned is on the website for you to be able to see. Our staff is on there, our board, everything that you want to see about our program is on the website at thexforboys.org. Or you can follow me on social media at New Emerging King on all social platforms.
Okay. So you talked about your teachers. Tell us a little bit about your staff in terms of your teachers, how many you have, and, where do they come from? And I guess they volunteer as well.
Sure. Yeah. Our headmistress, her name is Alexandria Van Dyke. She's a graduate of the University of Georgia. She has a master's from there in education, and she's been helping, the program for about 3 years. And, we decided to make her headmistress when we first started the school, because that is her wheelhouse. That is what she does, and she makes everything happen for us. And on that end, and of course, we have our tutors who come in and out, and then we have our male staff that comes in along with me to kind of make sure that, and they're all from here, born and raised. Just to make sure that the boys have a good amount of male presence around. But we also have female staff too, who just make sure that the kids have a listening ear and somebody to talk to, and maybe somebody to cry with, etc. Because we want that balance there for the kids. So that's kind of what we had, the dynamic that we have.
Yeah. I know you talked about field trips and taking the kids out. What are some of the things that you try to expose them to in terms of taking field trips, or maybe some of the people that you would like them to meet that can actually help to motivate them to, to move forward?
Yeah, we've taken many different field trips. A lot of field trips, a lot of field trips, many different places. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Is it this
Sure.
editable? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
go
making
right
noise.
ahead. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, who is that? Hey, don't make noise. I'm on the call. Just tell them I'm on a podcast. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem. We're very informal here, and we understand.
Yeah, my students, they just got back in the office, and they didn't know I was on the podcast.
That just adds to the excitement and the realism of the show. So
Yeah. Okay.
When you talk about building logistics, you said you guys have an office and you have a school. Are they adjacent to each other, or one is one particular area and the other was somewhere else? Or they're right?
Yeah, our office building is about 3 minutes away from the school, so it's like right around the corner. The
Okay.
school is, yeah, I say it's about 3 minutes or so, about a mile away from here. But yeah, that's kind of how we make the dynamics work with that, because I just believe the office building just need to be separate. In my opinion, so the school can be all school. And whenever I have people, especially like if I have visitors, I believe in security, as you know, that's my biggest thing. And if I'm able to have people who I need to visit, etc., if I want them to come to see me or have a meeting with me, but not go to my school, you come to my office building. That's how I make that work. I just don't. If the less traffic that we could have in the school building that are not the students, the better for me. In my brain, because I'm feeling like somebody's coming in there scouting the place out and looking at this and that. Nothing for you to see. You can come to my office. So
Mhm.
this is like where people meet with me and things like that. So
Yeah. Now you said you guys do most of your funding is through fundraise type thing. Have you guys applied for any type of grants or federal grants or state grants or any type of funds from the city of Albany that you guys can access that can help you guys?
yeah, we hadn't really applied for any grants or anything. My only issue sometimes with applying for grants is like they want their hands in so much. And they kind of want to dictate this and that with grants. So but there are grants that I know would be beneficial to us. I just hadn't had a chance to just really dig into what works. I mean, what's been working for us right now is people giving. So it's been doing wonders for us. Again, people just love our program. So that's what's been working for us as of late. But definitely want to look into applying for some grants for our students and for different activities that we want to bring to the program.
Yeah. Now you talked about your board. Tell us about the makeup of your board and maybe who are some of the members on there that maybe we probably wouldn't know, but how did they come across getting affiliated with you?
Sure. I know most people know Trent Brown. He's the starting, I think, right tackle on the New England Patriots. And then you have Jameer Jackson. He's the CFO of AutoZone Incorporated. And then you have Travis Cochran. He's the CEO of the Historical Black University of Creatives in Atlanta. You have Hovain Hilton. He just passed away in November. He was on the board, but he just passed away. Then you have Patrick Kleins in Florida. He's the CEO of the Fritz Dog Kennel, and he's a board member also at the University of Texas in San Antonio. And you have Bill Brown out of Mount Dora, Florida. These men make up our board. They've been affiliated for quite some time before we became a true program and had all our ducks in a row. They've been helping and trying to figure out how they could best make this thing thrive. So that's who our board is made up of, and most of them are from Albany. Actually, Trent is from Albany, which is crazy. But Trent's from Albany. He's a Super Bowl champion with Tom Brady. He's blocking for Brady. And then Travis is also from Albany. Jameer spent about 10 to 12 years here in Albany. And then Hovain's the only one from Atlanta. He's not from Albany. And Mr. Patrick, he's from Houston, Texas. And Mr. Bill's from Florida. But for the most part, the board makes up of people from Albany.
Yeah. In terms of working with maybe some of the fraternities, do they interact with you all? I'm thinking of like, the Alphas or the Mega Psi Phi or any of those fraternities. Do you interact with them and they provide any services for you all?
Now we hadn't had any true interactions or anything like that. Not as I know some, I know some alphas and things like that, but we hadn't had like any direct relationship with the fraternities directly.
Yeah, I know they do a lot of things in the community and trying to help youth too as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
so isn't there a college in Albany State, right in
Yep,
Albany?
Albany State
Okay.
University.
Is that a HBCU or just a regular state college?
It's a HBCU.
Okay, okay, yeah. Now, when you talk about some of the things like working on vehicles and doing housing, I guess, tell us a little bit about what that entails. You talked about changing the brakes and changing the oil, but from a housing standpoint, do you guys maybe go fix up houses or help out in the community and individuals in need certain things done like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we do free breakfast. We've done free haircuts. We've done working. We change people's brakes. We change people's oil. And I use people's cars as projects for the boys. We changed alternators, radiators. We've changed people's toilets. We painted. Um, ceiling fan replacement. I mean, a plethora of things, changing, pipes in the bathroom, and many different things. We've done a lot. We've done fencing. We do firearms training. We
Oh,
do,
really?
yeah, we do quite a amount of the things with our students.
Hmm.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the firearms training. I'm intrigued with that.
Sure. Yeah, we do firearms training with our students. I firmly believe that every child will learn how to use firearms, especially boys, whether that be from me or from the streets. And we always tell the parents, we rather them learn from somebody who has some sense and who knows what they're doing, and teach them how to respect the weapon. That's important. It would behoove anybody to teach their children about firearms and for them to learn themselves. This is not a society where you should act like guns don't exist. They do, and you should know how to use and operate them just in case you come into contact with one, or if your child comes into contact with one. That is important. And I think it would be smart of anybody to make sure that happens for their kids. Even my son's, he turns 5 in January, and he'll be learning about firearms and what they can do and how they can hurt and what to do if you see one, etc. He already knows what to do if he sees one, but he doesn't know like the mechanics of it or anything right now. But he knows that since he was about 2 or 3 years old, I told him exactly what to do if he sees a firearm, and that's to alert an adult. So he knows that for the most part already. But any child in our program will know about firearms, and all of our teachers and instructors, they all carry and are trained in firearms.
Really? Have you gotten any pushback from anybody in the community as also trying to teach the younger kids about the importance of weapons or gun safety?
Sure, of course. People who hate the Second Amendment and think guns need to be banned and all that, of course. But I always say, well, if somebody comes to rob or shoot up any schools of mine, they'd be met at the door. But if you go to the public school system, I'm sure they take a lot of kids and teachers with them. But at our school, you'd be lucky to get one because everybody's here ready for you.
That is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it probably goes against the grain, but basically everything you do, it goes against the grain, and that's how you
Of
make
course.
change and get stuff
Yeah.
done. So that
Mm-hmm.
is very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, your long range goal for the school. Where do you see this school 5 years from now, or where would you like it to be 5 years from now?
Uh, I would like to see the program expand. Of course, expand around my whole city. My goal is to eventually have our school become so big that the public school system is no longer needed in our hometown. That is my goal, is to eradicate our public school system. I think that our students would be best benefited being homeschooled or in schools like ours. We do plan to eventually start a sister school where it be all girls, and our head mistress will head that. But we're gonna do all boys and all girls school eventually, and that's what we're trying to make happen. And I want to see that expand all over our town and possibly our state. It just depends on how fast we move.
Mhm. Now, the building that you guys have now, does it allow for that particular type of expansion, or would you have to basically go and maybe get another facility in order to make that happen?
I mean, I probably would get another facility. It could happen, but we would just cut our numbers up per se. But if I wanted to make that happen, definitely want to get another facility. And then we just want to make sure those students are kind of interacting with each other also here and there, because we do want to teach how to court, how to date, how to speak to the other. How to speak to the other gender, etc. I mean, that is important. Kids, boys don't know how to talk to girls, girls don't know how to talk to boys. It's just terrible nowadays, and all they know is what they see on social media in regards to dating and courting and talking to girls or talking to boys. Social media has done a number on our kids, which is why we ban cell phones and any type of social media at our school, because the kids will just get so lost, with that stuff, man, and they just can't thrive. They can't learn, and they're stuck on what they're seeing online.
Hmm. Now, with the when you talked about social media, and I guess learning, you guys, basically it's kind of an old school thing. Teach them how to do mathematics. Teach them how to, do fractions, those type of things. Because now you got calculators, you got, AI, which basically can do pretty much anything for you. How do you balance that? I guess when they're not at school or whatever, to to make sure that that's not something that they're consumed with. I guess all you can do is what you can do while you have them. I'm assuming.
Yeah, of course. Now our boarding students, they won't have any devices at all.
Okay.
So if they're boarding with us, bye bye to the cell phone. But we're not going to say, we're going to be archaic and never teach them about technology and stuff like that. We're going to teach them how you make funds from that. Obviously, as a man, you need to make money. So we're going to teach them how to utilize these different platforms to make money. We're not on here to be the consumer. We're on here to make money. I tell them that all the time. We're not on Facebook to be on there talking to our friends. We're on there to make money. We're not on Snapchat to be snapping. We're on there to make money. I'm telling them, like, you utilize these platforms to make you some coins. That's what you use them for. You're not on there to be on there just taking pictures and showing off and all that crap. I'm just like, no, be a grown man and go in there and make you some cash for your family. That's what you want to go do. I said, these influencers that you watch all the time, like Mr. Beast and all these guys they be telling me about on YouTube, yeah, they making tons of money off of you. You know what they doing every day? What you could be doing. Making videos, doing stuff, being consistent. All that stuff is how they make cash. I'm like, these guys making millions of dollars just with a camera on their phone. That is it, and making you watch it, So again, you could be that same person, but it comes with consistency. I show these guys, their platforms. I'm like, man, these guys took so many years to get big, but they stayed consistent. They stayed, dedicated to what they were doing. They didn't just think they're going to wake up and then be famous or be popular on social media. They had to work for it, and that's what I'm telling the boys. I'm just like, you guys have to learn to be consistent with what you're doing. Even like with what I was doing, it took me 4 or 5 years to really get where we are, and we're still not all the way there yet. Like, we're in a good place, but we got more time. Like, you just gotta want to work and be consistent, So I've been doing this since I was 19. I'm 24 now. I can't grow no hair up here and everything, but consistency, So that's how you make it work.
Yeah. So when you talk about entrepreneurship, this seems to be a very important part of your program and the things that you do. How do you maybe talk to the kids about entrepreneurship in terms of some of the dreams and things that they have and how to go about obtaining them? I know you just talked about the camera or whatever. Or somebody says, hey, I want to be a neurosurgeon, or I want to do, how can you prepare them to move into, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, not so much a job, if you will? And I think some of the things that you talked about kind of touch on that, though, but maybe expand on a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you do is be honest with them. For those who say they want to play football and do all that stuff or be a YouTuber and all that. And I'm just like, are you willing to get up at 4:00 in the morning and put up shots like Stephen Curry doing? You're not going to the NBA. Are you willing to get up and do exercises and do drills when you're not at practice, with everybody else? Are you willing to get up and practice by yourself? If not, you're not going. Are you willing to get up in the morning and go study and record videos and make sure you get the right equipment and all that stuff like these YouTubers are doing? If you're not going to be a successful YouTuber. I'm like, you have to put in the work ethic. These guys have work ethic. It may look like they're having fun and may like they doing little funny stuff or whatever like that, even though they may be doing that, sure. But they have to work, have work ethic to do that stuff. I'm like, you can't just do it and get up and think you're just gonna work. And people are like, oh, why are you trying to crush their dreams? It's not crushing their dreams, it's being honest with them. You have to have work ethic. You're not gonna wake up and oops, I became famous. Oops, I became the best. No, that's not how it works. You have to work for it. You have to train like nobody else trains. You have to work like nobody else works to make it happen. So that's how I've been able to be successful. What I'm doing, just doing stuff that nobody else is doing and making it happen. And that's what I believe is important. And that's the only way you're going to become successful. Like for kids who've told me, I want to be a surgeon. Okay, what's stopping you from going ahead and watching videos on YouTube and reach? What can you tell me about neurosurgery right now? Well, it don't seem like you want to be a neurosurgeon to me, because I know you're on YouTube looking at other stuff. It's neurosurgeons on Instagram, neurosurgeons on TikTok, neurosurgeons on YouTube. They're all doing stuff. You don't know none of the lingo, none of the verbiage, nothing. You can't tell me you want to be a real neurosurgeon and you have no idea what goes into that already. You don't have to wait till you go to college to figure that stuff out. You can know that stuff already. So again, these are things that these kids need to be told. For any industry they want to get in. If you're not studying that industry already, you don't have the work ethic already. You got to already be looking at that stuff. I'm just like, you want to be a contractor? Why aren't you already looking at videos or asking your dad to go to Lowe's and buy you two 2x4s for Christmas so you can, cut some wood, or buy you a saw, like anything. Just, you have to make it work. You have to want it, but if somebody else wants it more than you, you're not going to get it. You're just going to end up being a bum. And that's just being honest. It's just being honest with our kids. It's not, anything else but your mindset that's going to hold you back. You have to figure it out. and you got to want it for real. Even with some of the places that we are, I always tell people I think that the school could be more successful if I had more work ethic. Sometimes, like even though I do work pretty hard, I still think I could go harder. I'm just like if I were to wake up a little earlier, if I were to stay up a little later, if I were to get that email answered, or if I were researching a couple more things, whatever like that, I could have made our school more successful. So again, that's being honest and taking the personal accountability, with things that you're doing. So because when people see us, they're like, "Oh man, this is so awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, but we could have been way further if I had did this, and that, and made sure this was in order and that was in order, But that's how you have to be to make things work. You have to be honest with yourself and want to put that work in.
Yeah. How do you interact with the parents of the students? How involved are they in the education aspect, and in terms of their cooperation? Getting the kids there, things that need to be done. How active are the parents?
Yeah, the parents are active for the most part, all the time. I would say, we try to do interactive activities with the moms. We only have one or two dads, I would say, but for the most part, it's all moms, and we try and do our best to teach them what to do with their sons at home, how they should speak to them, their attitudes, etc. I always tell the moms too. The way you talk to your sons is how he's going to think a woman's supposed to talk to him. Growing up, and if you're yelling at him and fussing at him and all that stuff, and some of the stuff is not worth it, or if you're talking to them crazy or whatever like that, and it's gonna rub off on him. And I've had parents come and say, "Oh, he got this attitude problem, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Well, mom, look at how you rolling your neck right now. Look at how you talking right now. He's doing that same stuff here at the school. He's doing what you're doing or whatever. So that's a check on you. You have to check yourself too, because he's mimicking what he's seeing. So it's like, even though you are a woman, that you're all he's seeing, mama. So you're gonna have to do better yourself. So we try to have those type of conversations with them, and they're always all for it, because I don't ever, like try and ridicule them or anything like that. I just talk to them, because they do want to be better. And I already know, if you decided to send your child to a boarding school in the same city that you live in, I believe you want the best for your child. If you were able to admit and say, "Look, I think I could get some real true help with my son, and send him to a boarding school," I wholly believe, I think that parent is willing to work on themselves. And that is what we do. We try to make sure those parents get what they can, get what they need, making sure their credit is good, trying to send them to people to help them make money. We do grocery giveaways. We help them with their rent and their light bill whenever the parents are, saying, "Hey, if we know they're struggling and stuff like that, if they taking care of the kids, if they making sure they get to school on time, if they making sure that this is happening, that is happening, I'll go raise some money and we'll make sure they rent and light bill get paid." Just because they need that type of support. And that's what we offer at our school. It's a big family thing. It's not just about the kids. It's about everybody who's intertwined with them.
Yeah. Is driver's ed training a part of your curriculum as well? Do you teach them how to drive a vehicle as well? Or is that something that they learn somewhere else?
We've been wanting to implement that. I've taught like two of them how to drive, but it isn't like a part of the curriculum yet. But we want to implement that, especially when they turn like 15, 16 years old. I want to get some type of accredited driving course that they could do with us. So that way they could get their, license and things, and make sure their parents' insurance stays cheap. Because I'm dealing with that now. Because I got my little brother I take care of, and he's 17, and he on my insurance, and my insurance went up because he just got his license. So he had to take that little driving course so I can keep my insurance down. But that's something we do want to implement, because I think that's important too, just teaching kids how to drive.
Now, you said Albany was 77% Black. What is the total population of Albany?
It's about 74,000 people here.
Okay. And I know you always have what I call the other side of the tracks. What is the from an income standpoint, in terms of how are Blacks living there in terms of their income? Being at the poverty level, being at this particular type of level, middle class, upper class. Do you have a breakdown in that, in terms of, and then where these kids come from as well, in terms of that breakdown?
Albany was at one point the fourth poorest city in the whole United States. But we are at maybe like number 7 now, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little better, but it's terrible here, the median income, and I'm looking it up for you right here. The average income as of 2021 was 40,000. That's the average income for Albany. But we do have the highest concentrated poverty rate in Georgia. So we ain't doing too well here. But And the poverty rate is 28.46%. So that's kind of what we deal with here in the city. And the kids obviously are affected by that because their parents are constantly working and trying to constantly make money. And I mean, to be honest, I don't know the first person, that has just $500 saved in a savings account, and that's a very, very small amount. But that's how people live here in the city of Albany. And we're trying to change that through our kids and through our students and through our sons. I believe we could fix that, teaching them how to work together, teaching them how to open businesses, teaching them how to actually make good money and pour that back into your hometown. I believe that's how we could be successful in Albany. We just have to be able to change it, through the youth. That's the only way I think we're going to change it, even with just getting them to run for different positions, getting them to be doctors, judges, lawyers, accountants, mailmen, etc. That is how you change the dynamic of your hometown.
Yeah. In terms of individuals maybe that have come down and wanted to tour your facilities, have do you do a lot of tours? People are interested in finding out more about you and coming to
Yeah,
see, okay, be nosy, I guess you can say as well. But
yeah, they just sign up on the website. Whenever we have tours open, people can sign up on the website. It's on your dime to fly down here or drive or whatever. But we've had plenty of people, come in and visit and tour our facilities and tour our school.
yeah,
We have people come from all over to see what we're doing here in Albany.
yeah, and I'm sure they got to be impressed when they come and see exactly, you're just taking a little and making a lot out of it, and
Right.
that's very important. That that you're doing that and that you're giving back to the community.
Mhm.
Just a couple more questions for when we're talking about Albany again. What is, I guess, who's the major employer there or the major industry there in Albany?
We have Miller Brewery here. We have a Marine base here. We have Procter and Gamble, and we have M&M Mars. They make combos and stuff like that. But those are some of our main industries here in Albany.
Okay.
But most of the
Just
people that work at those places, they don't even live here. They live like 20, 30 minutes away. So actually, they don't really hire a lot of people that actually live in the city.
why is that? You think is it because of the individuals there, their skill level, or
I think
uh,
it may be that, and being honest, I hate to say this sometimes, but people just lazy. Being honest, people act like that's not true, and I'm like, bro, people here are very lazy. I ain't saying everybody lazy, but you meet the first person here and try to offer them a job, etc., or go to some of these job fairs. People are lazy and don't truly want to work for real. Like they don't really want money. They do want the government assistance. They do want the easy way out. They want easy money. Nobody wants to actually get up and do something to actually make money. Nobody wants to do work for real. So. I mean, I'll say that too, the work ethic. I mean, I've seen people go in and out of jobs, and they work for their first paycheck and leave. That's the culture, here. So
yeah.
I'll add to that.
Yeah. Do you have any political ambitions down the road, or how well do you interact with politicians in terms of some of the things that you're doing? How received have you been among some of those?
I mean, I'll say we I don't really have any political aspirations at all. I plan to just continue doing what I'm doing with the students. And I mean, I have some good relationships with politicians and some I don't. But we try and do our best with whoever's in office and try and offer them to help us and us help them. And we try and make that happen. But we don't have like a good or bad relationship like with a lot of politicians. Some of them just don't really interact with, and some that we do. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you could say something to your critics right now, what would you say to your critics, and what would you say to your supporters?
I appreciate the critics. I appreciate you all because you just make me want to go harder. And to our supporters, we just thank you so much because again, none of this would be happening at all without our supporters. Our supporters are what truly make our organization what it is.
Yeah. So did you have like a big annual fundraiser that you do, or is it just kind of we just bits and pieces as we go along every?
Yeah, we've been doing bits and pieces, but we got a new one that we were gonna drop next year. We're gonna do an annual fundraiser next year. Well, the inaugural one will be next year. So we got a big thing we plan on doing for that. Can't really say too many details about it, but next year we will be doing our first annual fundraiser that we'll do every year.
Yeah. And I know you've gotten, as I say, I found you online. I just, saw some of the things that some of the interviews that you've done, and you've gotten quite a bit of publicity throughout this country. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I did see an interview that I really didn't care too much for, where you and Roland Martin, I guess, were kind of or sparring. I don't know if that's even the word to use, but uh, I just felt it could have been better, and but I thought that you handled it very well. And I know you've been on some of the major platforms as well. So I commend you on the way that you handle the media. And I'm sure there's always going to be somebody that don't like what you're doing, no matter what it is that you're
Of
doing.
course.
But critics are always going to be there. But I always say, if you're not part of the solution, then really you're part of the problem. So
Absolutely.
so if you got a better way to make a mousetrap, let us know, but don't criticize the mousetrap that we're making. So
Exactly, especially if it works.
yeah, exactly. King, do you have anything else that you'd like to add, or questions that maybe I didn't ask that you want to expound upon?
Nah, I mean, you sound like you covered all the bases, man. I just appreciate you having me on, and let me know if you need me to come back or anything. Just give me a shout. I definitely appreciate you so much.
Yeah, and we'll be following up with you, and give that address again, in terms of where we can send donations to, or tell us about that one more time.
Absolutely. Everything is on the exforboys.org. That's THEXFORBOYS.org. That's where you can go to see everything that it is you want to see about our organization, and follow us on social media at New Emerging King on all social media platforms.
Yeah. Well, King, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us and our listeners. And I think this is going to be a really good show once we get to share. We have different platforms to share it on: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel at the YouTube at the Real Mike Pittman. So we look forward to posting this on the platform as well. So, King, thank you so much. You've been very good to speak with, and much success for you and your company and your
All right.
organization. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.